Whether you're a longtime fan of Superman or you're just looking to get ready for James Gunn's upcoming Superman flick, this video has got you covered. In this video, we're going to go over the best Superman stories to get you ready for the movie, we're going to go over everything we know about this flick, and I'm going to give you a rundown on all of the DC Comics characters that will be featured in this movie. Keep in mind though that I have not seen Superman yet. I'm just speculating really. But one thing's for sure, this video will definitely clear up a lot of confusion if you're new to Superman and DC Comics.
What was that? Yeah, take that, you jerk. That was a minor inconvenience. Yeah, well, that's the idea. Slowed you down, I'll say. Ow. Didn't see that coming, did you? No. Yeah, well, take that.
But before we move on, please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Favorite Comics. You do not want to miss out on our awesome content. Now, if you're completely new to Superman, the best place to start is with Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb. This story delves into Clark Kent's evolution from a hopeful young man to the world's greatest hero. This story does an amazing job emphasizing Clark's humanity and his moral compass. Now, this graphic novel is pretty different in the sense that the narration is done from the perspective of supporting characters and not Superman himself, which gives insight into how the world sees him. Now, I doubt that this is the narrative style that they're going to use with James Gunn's Superman movie, but I do think it'll explore how people are shaped by Superman and how he, in turn, is shaped by them. This read is perfect for readers that are new to Superman as it offers a quiet, emotional portrait of Clark's life as opposed to an action-heavy spectacle. Another great place to start is with Josh Williamson's new Superman series. Josh Williamson always does an amazing job of honoring a character's history while adding something new into the mix. In this series, Lex Luthor finally gets incarcerated. But that's not the most surprising development for Luthor. It turns out that Luthor wants to turn a new leaf and redeem himself for all of the terrible things that he's done. He starts off by transforming LexCorp into SuperCorp. In other words, he hands off all of his tools and resources to Superman so that he can help people even more. This story arc explores the themes of Luthor's redemption. It also delves into the complexities of Superman's relationship with Lex, exploring the themes of trust and morality as they navigate their uneasy alliance. This storyline resumes Superman's role as Metropolis's protector while new and old adversaries emerge. A lot of fun and interesting developments happen in the series. For instance, Jimmy Olsen starts dating Livewire after she gets out of prison. What's phenomenal about this series is that you don't have to be a die-hard Superman or DC Comics fan to understand what's going on. It's just a series of classic Superman adventures where the Man of Steel is presented with fresh challenges and ethical dilemmas. I figured that this Superman series is worth mentioning since Tom King is a part of James Gunn's writing staff for this new Superman movie. Fun fact, the new Superman and Mr. Miracle DCU projects are heavily inspired by Tom King's run on both of the heroes. So it seems like him and James Gunn are really great friends. In Superman Up in the Sky, a young girl named Alice is abducted by aliens from Metropolis. Superman embarks on a galaxy-spanning quest to rescue the young girl. He faces various challenges that test his resolve and moral compass. And I really mean it. He's put into a position where he has no choice but to compromise his moral integrity. When he goes on his journey to save Alice, he leaves Metropolis and the world vulnerable to old and new threats. Hence, the narrative delves into the complexities of Superman's duties, exploring the balance between saving one's life and the potential consequences of neglecting others. In pretty much every chapter of this graphic novel, Superman encounters an adversary, each with a unique moral dilemma. Now, this next story is easier to understand if you're familiar with the history of DC Comics, but I have a strong suspicion that James Gunn took inspiration from this Kingdom Come storyline. After all, David Cornsweet's Superman logo is near identical to the Kingdom Come logo. This story takes place in its own bubble of continuity where our fan favorite heroes have aged and went into retirement. As a consequence, a new age of heroes has risen to the occasion to become the world's protectors. Only these are not the Teen Titans who have aged into adults. These are a completely new set of heroes who have a very loose moral compass. Years before the story begins, Superman goes into a self-imposed exile after a brutal anti-hero, Magog, kills the Joker. After this new wave of anti-heroes rise, chaos emerges. They have an unchecked battle causing massive collateral damage, culminating in a disaster in Kansas where millions die. This forces Superman out of retirement and puts him on a journey to bring the Justice League together and restore order. There was a lot of interesting tensions in the story. For instance, Batman started his own resistance of human and non-meta heroes. In this story, he disagrees with what he sees as Superman's authoritarian approach. The story leads up to an all-out battle between Superman's Justice League, Batman's resistance, these young anti-heroes, and the world's governments. This is certainly a classic DC Comics story that every fan should take the time to check out. Next up on the list, we have Superman vs. the Elite. This story is very similar to Kingdom Come in the sense that Superman is facing off against a team of heroes with a very loose moral compass. The team consists of Manchester Black, a British telekinetic and telepath, Coldcast, a man who can manipulate electricity and magnetic fields, Menagerie, a metahuman who can summon and control alien creatures that live within her body, and the Hat, a man with a mysterious magical hat that he can use to summon supernatural creatures. The Elite has no problems when it comes to killing criminals, which is obviously something that Superman does not agree with. This story is really fantastic as it exposes the hypocrisy of the Elite. Superman showed them the errors of their ways by making it look like he fell off the deep end. He made it look like he was killing off each member of the team of anti-heroes. When Manchester Black thought that his team was killed off, he broke down in tears and begged Superman to spare his life. This story is really fantastic in the sense that it does a really great job of showing us why altruism, decency, and compassion prevails over indifference. Another read I would recommend is President Luthor. This graphic novel did a really great job of showcasing his genius as well as his selfishness. As you guessed from the title, Luthor gets elected as the President of the United States. This is a really clever move as Superman and the Justice League cannot touch him. I mean, think about it. If you're the leader of the free world, it would look really bad if the Justice League took a shot at you. Not only did we get to see Superman navigate through some morally gray areas with Luthor's presidency, but we got to see Luthor's origin. It turns out in the post-Infinite Crisis continuity, Luthor rigged his parents' vehicle so that they die in a car crash. He ended up taking all of the insurance money from the crash and used it to fund his education. This story did an amazing job of showcasing Luthor's maliciousness, self-centeredness, and straight-up evil genius. It's a must-read for all Superman fans. Luthor by Brian Azzarello is also an amazing story that showcases Luthor's psyche. In this graphic novel, Luthor thinks it is morally justified to take down Superman since he identifies as a humanist. In his mind, he thinks Superman is problematic since he's solving all of humanity's problems. If Superman is around to fix everything, humanity cannot grow, develop, and solve things on their own. While his humanist opinions are interesting, it's heavily implied that he's using it to mask his own inferiority complex with the Man of Steel. To make a long story short, Luthor uses his humanist line of thinking as a justification to attack Superman. As per usual, Luthor goes absolutely batshit nuts to get what he wants.
Your enhanced strength and kryptonite lasers make you a match for even Superman, Mr. Luthor.
Yes, a flawless design.
Ow! Tyler, I told you not to play ball in here!
Another great read is Batman and Superman World's Finest. This is a modern comic book series that launched in 2022 that celebrates the legendary partnership between Batman and Superman. This series was just really fun and vibrant and did a really great job of blending action and heart with a touch of nostalgia. This series features plenty of classic DC Comics teams, heroes, and villains like Lex Luthor, the Joker, Metallo, and the Doom Patrol. Batman and Superman Public Enemies is also another popular storyline from DC Comics. In this story, Lex Luthor is the President of the United States and surrounds himself with a team of superheroes like Captain Atom and Power Girl to gain credibility. When a giant kryptonite meteor is on a collision course for Earth, Luthor uses this catastrophe to frame Superman. He falsely accuses him of planning to use the meteor as a weapon against humanity. To ensure Superman is captured, Luthor puts a $1 billion bounty on his head, prompting nearly every villain and some heroes to hunt him down. As a consequence, Batman and Superman go rogue and face off against Luthor's new superhero team. As you'd expect, the good guys win. Batman fights an unstable Luthor with kryptonite in his system, and Superman gets the help of the new Toyman to take out the meteor. And last but not least, we have All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Now, I don't think James Gunn's Superman movie will follow each plot point from the story arc, but I do think this movie is heavily inspired by All-Star Superman. In this story, Superman has an Icarus-like moment flying too close to the sun. Thanks to Lex Luthor, astronauts were drifting in space and were about to get hit by a solar flare before Superman saves them. Unfortunately for Supes, his Kryptonian cells get supercharged by flying too close to the sun. Although his strength and power levels have tripled, this situation gives him only a couple of weeks left to live. Now, despite how Superman knows his time is about to come to an end, he doesn't give in to hurt, anger, or betrayal. Instead, he spends his final days in gratitude, spending time with loved ones and helping people out. There's a lot of shots from the Superman trailers that make it look like the panels from the All-Star Superman story came to life, which for me, as a longtime DC Comics fanboy, is a reassuring sight to see. This is an all-around amazing story about why kindness, hope, and optimism prevails. Now, this is more or less what I'd read to get caught up with James Gunn's Superman. I think it's more than fair to say that he'll make things easy to understand for casual viewers, but you never know. There's a lot of deep-cut DC Comics characters in this flick, so it would not hurt to read these recommendations. Speaking of deep-cut DC Comics characters, I'm going to talk about the new heroes in this movie so that you're all up to speed on everything. Now, Guy Gardner is the most straightforward character to start with.
Still, we could always use more raw power. And Earth has a third Green Lantern, Guy Gardner.
No.
But we could really...
No.
His willpower is so strong that the Guardians of Oa chose him to be a Green Lantern to protect Earth Space Sector 2814. With his Green Lantern ring, he can create any construct that he can imagine. I have a feeling that they're going to go with this New 52 A Rebirth Continuity origin story. In those versions, he came from a family of cops and he did not get along well with his dad, to say the least. If I had to guess, I'd say that this is where his hot-headed, insecure, and overconfident nature comes from. Hawkgirl has a pretty convoluted origin story in the comics. In some continuities, Hawkgirl is Shiera Hall, a Thanagarnian warrior from the planet Thanagar. She pretty much just wields alien technology and serves as a space police officer. In other versions, she's the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian priestess along with her lover Carter Hall, otherwise known as Hawkman. The pair are cursed to be reincarnated throughout time, always finding each other only to die tragically. Michael Holt, otherwise known as Mr. Terrific, has no metahuman powers, but he's considered a self-made billionaire with multiple PhDs, Olympic medals, and is considered one of the smartest men alive. After the loss of his wife and unborn child, he was inspired to use his gifts to help others. He created T-Spheres, floating robotic devices that assist him with various tasks such as defense, hacking, scanning, and communication. Not only is he a genius in science, engineering, martial arts, and detective work, but his T-Spheres give him advanced technological capabilities such as flight, invisibility, force fields, hacking, and more. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Maxwell Lord is a wealthy businessman who initially presented himself as a manager for the new iteration of the Justice League, specifically the Justice League International. When he was first introduced, he was not a villain, although at times he did show some morally gray tendencies. As time went on, he eventually turned into a villain. Max was granted with the ability to telepathically control others due to his exposure to a sentient computer entity. His power grew to the point where he could take control of powerful minds like Superman. Rex Mason, aka Metamorpho, is a unique and visually striking superhero from DC Comics known for his ability to transform into various elements and compounds. Rex Mason was originally an adventurer who had an expedition in the Middle East. He discovered a mysterious ancient Egyptian artifact known as the Orb of Metamorpho. This of course changed his body on a molecular level. Despite how he's pretty powerful, he can't revert back to his human form, which often isolates him emotionally from others. He's a pretty formidable foe for Superman since he can turn various parts of his body into kryptonite. He does have a wife and a daughter, so he might be getting blackmailed by Lex Luthor to hurt Superman so that he can keep his wife or daughter safe. And last but not least, we have the Engineer. She is a genius inventor and scientist who uses nanotechnology to enhance herself. She has a metallic suit powered by nanites, giving her super strength, flight, and the ability to manipulate machinery. To be honest, I don't know what made her into a straight up sociopath. She's a member of the superhero team The Authority who take an any means necessary approach to getting justice. So it's no surprise as to why she gets along so well with Lex Luthor. So with all that said, I imagine Lex Luthor will do everything he can to discredit and get a rise out of Superman. He'll go as far as creating a Superman clone to get into the Fortress of Solitude, fight Superman, and create as much chaos as possible. He's probably pulling strings and profiting off of the civil war that's going on between Bravia and Jarapur. He'll probably capture Superman, lock him in that pocket dimension with Metamorpho, and torture him. Mr. Terrific will probably rescue Superman, and the two will work together with Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Crypto to put a stop to Luthor's schemes. And by the end of the movie, Superman will gain the trust of the public once again. But what do you think? Was there anything that I missed? What DC Comics story do you think needs to be read to get ready for Superman? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, thanks a million for watching. Please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics so that you do not miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.